If you're having trouble with that work-life balance, being in quarantine, it can be difficult to know how to handle it all. Our very own Fox 10 Kari Lake interviews an expert on how to get the best and the most out of your quarantine time.
I'm so happy to have Tracy Weiland joining us today to talk about, if there is such a thing, a work balance with home while we're all working from home. And she is an expert on technology and work, and especially kind of work from home. I bet you never thought there'd be this many people working from home, did you, Tracy?
No, and thank you for having me on your program. I never did think we would have this many people working from home, but I certainly hope to, because I had led large virtual organizations and really saw the benefit of it once that you understood how it works well.
So here we have this pandemic that's affecting the entire world, and in a very short period of time, businesses have been forced to make major decisions. How do I protect my workforce? How do I get them working from home and able to be productive? And I'm actually amazed at how just our company, Fox, did that. I mean, we've got almost everybody working from home, including setting up home TV studios. Has it been a challenge that has been very difficult for these companies, or have they been surprised at how easy it's been? What's your feedback?
Well, it's been a mixed bag. So obviously, if you're living in Silicon Valley or if you're in your industry, a lot of the companies have the ability to do it because they have the technology. But I am getting a number of calls from executives who are saying, I'm not even sure where to start. And, what do we do? And so number one is you got to make sure that your employees get simple technology and secure technology so they can be set up at home. And many times companies give their employees their laptops, their phones, a VPN connection, which is a virtual private network connection, and give them a secure access, because employees need to access their files at work and be able to collaborate with each other. So I think that's really important. And so a lot of IT departments right now are doing that. And then second, the burden falls really on the manager. A manager or the team leader or the executive needs to really think through a different workflow, different from when they went into the office. The workflow really is now about deliverables. It isn't about showing up at work and being seen and how much time you're seen. It's more of what are the projects, what are the milestones, who are the owners, and how are we going to get it done. So I encourage that executives set up a predictable routine for their employees, or team leaders really rise to the occasion. So if you have Monday staff meetings, continue that. However, if it's on the phone or using Zoom or Skype, have Wednesday check-in meetings or Friday wrap-ups. Continue this routine so people know a predictable week.
There's a lot of managers who say, well, I want to make sure I'm getting the full 8 or 9 hours from my employee. How do you ensure that's happening? And is that even necessary when what I'm hearing are people are more productive that they're working from home because they're not spending the unnecessary time chatting and socializing. They're just getting stuff done.
Yes, and I think this is, again, the mark of a good manager versus someone who is not as well equipped. I hear these stories of people getting up in the middle of the night and sending an email to show that they are on, or leaving their Zoom on all day and all night to give the perception that they're there. And that's not really what it's about. What it's about is what are the goals and the projects and the milestones and the deliverables that our team needs to deliver, and how are we going to get it done? Because remember, when people work from home, they might prefer to work in different hours, different times of the day when they feel they're more productive. So the idea now is, what is the long list of items that we have to get done? And if we've accomplished that and someone only had a 5-day visible work day versus a 10-hour one, maybe they're just more efficient and better at their job. So I think you have to have this really new mindset about how to do work.
It's not just individuals, it's their family who are now at home. So you might have yourself and your husband or your spouse or partner or roommate, and then you might have children who are homeschooling. What are some of the challenges people are facing in that, and how can they make it work better?
Well, one is, I think, adjusting to yourself working at home, and how am I going to set myself up, and what kind of spaces do I use? And now I have another person, like in my case, my husband's home full time, and he brought home the technology. So I had to revamp a data center closet for him. So now you have two people working at home, and they both have very independent lives, very independent schedules, and they're both adjusting just to the fact of working at home. So I would say just keep your routines, establish them, and create zones and spaces. So where are you each going to work? How are you going to keep your privacy? You know, is the door open, door closed? Some parents tell me they use red on the door for their kids, tell them don't come in. Green is okay to knock on the door because the parent's available. And also make sure that if you had independent routines that you keep that. So that you don't pass each other and see each other until the end of the day. So it might mean that one person has coffee in the morning first, and then the second person goes up and uses the kitchen. You might have lunch separately. You might do your workouts separately. You might even do other things separately and then regroup at the end of the day.
Yeah, we want to keep our relationships intact.
Exactly.
When this is all over. You know, I'm from a personal point of view, I'm kind of liking working from home. I never thought it was even possible that my job working as a TV, reporter anchor could ever work from home, but we figured out a way, and people are doing it all over the country, from talk shows to news programs. I feel that I'm getting more done, but I also feel like I'm working harder at different hours where I wouldn't have normally been working. I might be looking at emails or voice tracking things. Are people finding they like it more in your experience? I mean, obviously we're dealing with some stressful times, but are they liking the side of working from home?
Yes, I did a study of my own organization, and this is a couple of years ago. It was about 65 people, all virtual, working from home. And we surveyed ourselves to say, what are the benefits of working from home? So one, of course, it was money. People on average were saving, they reported about $700 per month because they didn't have gas expenses, parking expenses, food expenses at work, takeout expenses at home, extra childcare expenses. So there was a lot of benefits that they found just monetarily, clothing, dry cleaning, you can add it all up. The second was time, that they had a lot more time because they weren't commuting. They weren't doing the same grooming thing. And now that you have all this time, the first initiative, should I use that time back into work? And so a lot of us do end up overworking. But rather, if you think about it, you can use that time now to do all the things that you always wanted to do because you were commuting to work. You wanted that great workout routine. You wanted to start the yoga. You wanted to start some meditation. You wanted to cook your own meals every day so you could have a healthy lifestyle. So all of this actually becomes more available to you if you understand how to be productive with your work time and also productive with your off time.
I'm still working on that. I haven't done the whole workout routine yet, maybe in the coming weeks. What do you think? Do you think businesses are going to, when this all ends, and I sure hope it ends sooner rather than later, will they want to keep their employees working from home? I imagine there's a huge cost savings they could do if they don't have to rent commercial real estate locations, if they could just have people work out of the home.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting question because number one, we don't know the guidelines, from the health organizations about distance, physical distance. So that could really turn a lot of industries on its head, whether corporate meetings, off-sites, restaurants, workout clubs. So that would be very interesting to see, those parameters. But then you have now a company might see the benefits, as we did. We actually calculated, is it more efficient to have employees working from home? Once they're set up on the technology, which you would have already done in the office, there are savings. There's real estate savings, there's utility savings, there's supplies savings, there's services savings. And on average, what we had calculated just for my small group in a lower rent area was about savings of $5,000 per employee per year, which really adds up if you have a lot of employees. But the second is you think about, do you really want to go back to that work environment, the work environment where people were measured on showing up early? You look better if you showed up early, or you look better if you stayed late, or you look better to someone depending on how you dressed or how you looked. You have to shake hands, right? And politic a little bit. Is this really the world of work that you want to go back to? And if you think about it, if we adopt teleworking more across different companies, Well, what would really happen? Well, we would have new leaders emerge. We would have the ones who actually understand how to transition into the virtual world and lead in the virtual world, rather than the ones who understand how to just politic a little bit.
Yeah.
Number two is, right, you would have people saying, I don't have to pay a lot of money to live down the street from the company. I could now live in a big house somewhere in gorgeous Arizona and have all my family in a lot of space and my office, because now I don't have to be in the same zip code or area as my company. So a whole new possibilities could open up if people find that they really see the benefits of working from home.
That's fascinating. I never thought of that. I mean, it could change real estate. It could change zip codes that were once unattainable could see the prices go down. And that's really to me, that what you just said, it really could change the whole world that we live in if we move in this manner.
Yeah, the dynamics, you think about there's going to be some industries that will gain from that. Some industries will change from that. And your lifestyles may take on a different focus. It's not about the company, proximity to the company anymore. It's about getting the right talent, because that opens up the door as a manager, which is what I liked when I had my virtual organization, is I could go anywhere in the world looking for talent, the best people to do the jobs that I needed them to do. I didn't have to stay in that one area.
And you mentioned the politicking, kind of the schmoozers, the people who really maybe had that kind of sparkly personality, who always seem to get ahead, even though others in the workforce might look at them and go, well, they're not really that great at their job, but they do know how to schmooze the management. And now we might see people who are really hard workers, diligent, can think critically, moving ahead because they don't have to worry about all that. That's not really how we're going to be measured perhaps in the future.
Yes, it becomes more of a results-oriented work environment. And the people who like their jobs, are challenged by their jobs, creative in their jobs, and productive in their jobs will be the ones who can rise as the true leaders, which is what you want, because companies want to grow, and they want their people to be able to take leadership roles and grow the company. So I would say use this time to find these emerging leaders in your organization and give them an opportunity to lead some of the virtual teams, set up, sub-teams, be able to structure work so that it is something that benefits the management and as well as themselves.
So how do we go back into the old world? I mean, eventually I'm thinking we'll start to move our way back into the buildings that we used to work in. Do you think people will struggle going back, that might feel too confining after we've had a little bit more freedom, perhaps?
Yes, I had my nephew, and I remember saying to him that people actually work in offices, and he was like totally confused because his whole world is virtual, right, using all of his apps and different social media. And his mind, he couldn't even think of, he's young, he's Generation Z, why people would actually want to go to a physical office and confine their contacts and their proximity to so many more people if they were out in the virtual world. And it was very sharp as a young kid to say that. Why on earth would anyone want to go into a box and work there? So you might have people who crave the socialization of work and then want to go back and do that. Or you might have people who say, you know what, I found socialization, a different kind of socialization with my colleagues at work, maybe through texting or social media or some other means, and I also found a better life for me and my family.
That's great. Well, Tracy Weiland, how do people get a hold of you? I know you have information out there. If people want information on kind of striking that balance as they work from home, how should they find you?
Thank you. My website is tracyweiland.com, TRACEYWILEN.com. I am on LinkedIn and Twitter and all of the social media. I've released a blog just on this with all the statistics and metrics of my virtual organization, both sides, company and employee benefits, and it might be something that would be useful.
Okay, I'll have people look there, and I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day, and here's to working from home and making it work out for everybody.
Thank you.